Well, we've all done it. We've gone to the quilt shop, we've gone to the quilt show, or maybe we're just scrolling online and we bought the fabric. And then we bring it home and it either goes into the bin or it goes into the cupboard, or maybe it's still in the plastic bag that you brought it home in, sitting right where you left it. Hi, I'm Roberta from Quilt Crafters Corner, and I want to share with you my rules for spending money on quilting. After all these years, some of it has been worth it, some of it has not. But I want to give you a hint. I once spent good money on a class to learn something I already knew how to do. I will give you more about that in a little bit. These are my rules, not the rules. You get to make up your own rules because that's what this is all about, right? Now, I have no room to lecture anybody. I have bought my fair share of fabric and tools and markers and books and everything I thought that was going to make me a better quilter. And then, you always buy the things that you think you need to have as a quilter. But then there's the fabric. It's beautiful. We're quilters, we're tactile, we love touching fabric. But when you buy fabric that you don't know what you're going to do with, it just ends up being more stash versus something that has a purpose. So this leads me to rule number 1, and the fabric that I'm glad I bought because it finished up a project. I shop my stash first. I already see what I have. I know what I have. And then once I know, if I only need one fabric or maybe two, very rarely two, but sometimes two, I'll go and buy it. It makes that purchase really, really worth it because then it finishes something up. It's not, it's just not going and buying a quilt's worth of fabric and then sitting in your stash. It's actually finishing something, and it changes everything about that purchase. You're finishing something, and then the fabric becomes an investment because you've got the quilt done. Fabric that I haven't thought through is just more stash. It just adds to my collection. Let's talk about rule number 2, and it's about tools, and especially rulers. Now, I have my fair share of tools. I even have 2 of these, and these I use for binding. 9 out of 10 times, I'll look at a ruler when I see in a shop or a show or something and go, okay, don't I have something like that, very similar to that at home? And 9 out of 10 times, I do. I really do. So it's not always about buying the ruler. Now, tools. There's one tool I replace every single time, and that's my air erase pen. I love this thing. It's great for marking on fabric, and it disappears in a while. It's great for quilting, and the reason why I like it quilting, because it really gets me going, and it nudges me forward, because I know if I don't do it, it's going to disappear. So I love my air erase pen, and I replace it often. Now, everybody has one of those favorite tools. I would love to know what yours is. Leave me a comment below. So rule number 3. Let's talk about rule number 3, and it's about patterns and kits. Now, this can be a little controversial because I don't buy a lot of patterns and kits anymore. I used to, but I don't now. And don't get me wrong, I have great respect for pattern designers and writers because they do all the hard work. They figure out the design, they figure out how to cut it, they give you the measurements to cut and how to put it together. Writing those instructions to put something together is not easy. And then how to finish a quilt. They do all the really hard work for us. So yes, patterns and kits are very valuable. But now I've gotten to the point in my quilting where I want to make quilts my own. I want to make them unique to me. And this brings up a story. And this was just like last week. I was in a quilt shop with a friend of mine, and she rounded the corner and she looked up and she saw this quilt. She goes, oh, isn't that beautiful? And I go, oh, that's my quilt. And she goes, you made that? And I go, no, but I have one exactly like it at home because it was done with a pattern and a kit. And so there are so many of those out there that everybody else made. So it's not unique. It's I made it, yes, but it's not different and unique to me. And that's what I love about quilting. You can make anything unique and to you. And that's the other thing. You look at a pattern like that and you go, oh, I know exactly who made that. Or you look at a color combination, oh, I know exactly who did that, because we develop our own unique style. And that's what really excites me about quilting. Now, let me tell you about that class that I took. This was probably, 10 to 15 years ago, I think. And the class was at a quilt show, and it was on set in circles. And I always love circle elements in quilts because they're just so pretty, and they give you, it just kind of flows through the quilt and it really gives you a nice look. So I went to this class, and it was probably one of the most interesting classes I took because I was sitting there and I was following the instructions, doing everything that she said, and I finished my first couple of half circles or quarter circles, and I sat there and I went, wait a minute, I know how to do this because I've been sewing for a long time. Since I was a child, my grandmother taught me how to sew, and it was one of those things. This is just a set-in sleeve, and I looked at it and I went, I know how to do this. But it was one of those ideas that was reinforced. It was like, yes, there are things that I know that I've kind of forgotten that I knew, and it's you take for granted. So it was one of those things that it was an aha moment for me because it was like, oh, my education and learning to be a better quilter is probably the most important thing, especially to me, because I love a good challenge. I always like that next quilt has to be a little bit more challenging or a little bit more challenging because that's when I'm learning and I'm doing my best quilting. So that really changed how I spent money on my quilting. One of the other things I do spend money on is my groups, my guilds, my online groups, all of those things where I get to meet and talk with other quilters and we get to share ideas, or they give me ideas. Oh, have you tried this? Or, oh, maybe you want to think about that. That's why I love my weekly sewing group, because we share ideas and think about things just a little bit differently and give them those elements to make those quilts unique to us. Now, let me get back to what I promised you in the beginning, and I have two questions for you. I want to know, what is the thing that you got the most value out of? What did you spend money on, and what did you get the most value out of? Or maybe even something, what did you not get value out of? Maybe something that you went, oh, well, that wasn't really worth it. So I'd love to know, because I do read all the comments and I do reply. So this kind of leads me back to rule number one. Rule number one is know what's in your stash, because if you don't know what's in your stash, you're just buying more fabric and buying more fabric and buying more fabric. So I have a scrap stash starter guide. Try to say that 4 times fast. And in that guide, it's going to take you from chaos to organized. You have everything organized so that it's ready to be used when inspiration hits. It's also one of those great things because then you know what's in your stash, and then you can start shopping from your stash. As you're sorting, you're going to be going, oh, I could put these two together, and this will make a quilt, and this will make a quilt. That's what this is all about. I've been talking a little bit about a group that I'm starting for those of you that don't have other quilters that you can talk to, so that you can start having conversations and maybe getting ideas there. More on that soon. In my next video, I'm going to talk more about what I talked about earlier, about taking those patterns and those designs and those elements that you like, and how to stop copying patterns but kind of make them your own and develop your own unique style in your quilts. So I hope you'll come back for that one. And if you missed my last one on how to get those stalled projects finished, I'll leave a link in the description for you so that you can go check that out. It's really worth your time. And for those of you that have people to talk to, enjoy that conversation about quilting, and happy quilting. And until next time, I'll see you then.